Welcome back to my channel. This is Universal Insight. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. I bet you didn't know just how high the stakes are in the legal battle over Trump's tariffs. Picture this: news alerts flashing across every screen, Washington in chaos, and the world holding its breath as rumors swirl. The headline everyone's talking about: Supreme Court blocks Trump's tariffs. It's the kind of news that would send shockwaves through global markets and dominate every conversation. But here's the truth as of September 7, 2025. Despite all the noise, that headline hasn't happened. Not yet. Despite months of intense legal battles, heated arguments, and endless speculation from pundits and politicians, the Supreme Court has not issued a ruling on Trump's sweeping trade tariffs. The justices remain silent, and the legal world waits. The real story is a legal fight still climbing through the courts, with lawyers on both sides preparing for a showdown that could reshape trade policy for years. Billions in trade, thousands of jobs, and the fate of entire industries hang in the balance as uncertainty ripples through the economy. Lower courts have issued major rulings, each one adding new twists and turns to this high-stakes drama. But the Supreme Court remains silent, its doors closed to a final answer. For now. The drama is far from over. The stakes are only getting higher as the nation waits for a decision that could change everything. The final decision is yet to come, and every day brings new questions, new anxieties, and new hope for those affected. It's crucial to separate fact from fiction. There's been no Supreme Court ruling, and the tariffs remain in place, impacting businesses and consumers alike. To truly understand what's at stake, let's walk through the key events, legal battles, and political maneuvers that brought us to this pivotal moment. This is about the limits of presidential power, the separation of powers, and the checks and balances that define American democracy. And at the heart of it all, the real-world impact on businesses, workers, and families across the country, all waiting for answers. The first major legal blow landed in the United States Court of International Trade, or CIT. In May 2025, the CIT ruled that Trump exceeded his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. The court said the president couldn't declare a national emergency over trade deficits or fentanyl and then impose sweeping tariffs. The CIT declared the tariffs illegal and issued a permanent injunction to block them. This was a huge win for importers and small businesses, who argued the tariffs were unconstitutional and economically damaging. The court affirmed that Congress, not the president, controls trade policy. But the fight wasn't over. The administration immediately appealed, pushing the battle to a higher court. The legal ground was shifting, but the outcome was still uncertain. The case moved to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, raising the stakes and drawing national attention. Legal experts, business leaders, and policymakers all watched closely, knowing the outcome could set a powerful precedent for presidential authority. On August 29, 2025, the appeals court affirmed the CIT's ruling. Trump had overstepped his authority under IEEPA. The decision was clear: the president's emergency powers had limits, even in matters of trade and national security. Two courts now agreed: the president can't use emergency powers to impose broad tariffs. This was a significant check on executive power, reinforcing the role of the judiciary in upholding the Constitution. But there was a twist. The appeals court issued a stay, pausing its own ruling. This unexpected move left many wondering what would happen next. This meant the tariffs stayed in effect while the administration prepared a Supreme Court appeal. The legal battle was far from over, and the uncertainty rippled through the economy. For businesses and consumers, nothing changed. The economic pressure continued. Companies still faced higher costs, and shoppers still saw prices rise on everyday goods. The legal victory was real, but its impact was delayed. The sense of relief was tempered by the knowledge that the outcome was still uncertain. The stage was set for a final showdown at the Supreme Court. Both sides began preparing their arguments for what would be a historic case. The pause button was hit, but the clock was ticking. Every day of delay meant continued uncertainty for the nation's economy and for the limits of presidential power. The outcome would shape the future of presidential power and trade, setting a precedent that could influence generations to come. With the stay in place, the Trump administration quickly appealed to the Supreme Court on September 3, 2025. They asked for an expedited review, hoping for a decision on whether the court would hear the case by mid-September. The administration's only hope: a Supreme Court reversal to save its tariff policy. The justices are now reviewing the petition and responses from businesses challenging the tariffs. The first big question: will the court grant certiorari, agreeing to hear the case? If the court takes it, oral arguments could happen as soon as November. If not, the lower court rulings stand, and the tariffs are struck down. Until the justices decide, the legal and economic uncertainty continues. The world is watching, waiting for the Supreme Court's next move. This case is about more than just tariffs. It's a pivotal test of the separation of powers at the heart of American democracy. The outcome will determine how the branches of government interact when it comes to critical economic decisions. At stake is a fundamental question. Where does presidential power end, and where does Congress's authority begin? The answer could redefine the balance between the executive and legislative branches for generations. The Constitution clearly gives Congress, not the president, the authority to tax and regulate trade. This division was designed to prevent any one branch from holding too much power over the nation's economy. If the Supreme Court sides with the lower courts, it will set a new limit on how presidents can use emergency powers in matters of trade, reinforcing the checks and balances that define our system. Such a decision would reaffirm Congress's primary role in shaping economic policy, making it harder for future presidents to bypass lawmakers when imposing tariffs or other trade measures. On the other hand, if the court rules for the administration, it would set a powerful precedent, granting the president broad authority to act unilaterally on trade under the guise of national emergencies. That could dramatically shift the balance of power, allowing presidents to use emergency declarations to impose sweeping economic measures, potentially with little oversight. For businesses and consumers across the country, the stakes are very real. Higher costs, job losses, and economic uncertainty could all result from the court's decision, affecting everyday life. The Supreme Court's ruling will have direct and lasting consequences for paychecks, prices at the store, and the security of American jobs, touching nearly every household. Ultimately, the outcome will shape not only American trade policy, but also the future of presidential power and economic stability for years to come. Here's where things stand as of September 7, 2025. The Supreme Court has not blocked Trump's tariffs. They remain in effect due to a court-ordered stay. 2 federal courts have ruled the administration exceeded its authority under IEEPA. The Trump administration has appealed to the Supreme Court seeking a fast-track review. The immediate question, will the justices agree to hear the case? If they do, a final decision could come soon. If not, the tariffs are struck down. Until then, businesses and consumers face ongoing uncertainty. The next move belongs to the highest court in the land.